Hey, good morning. I'm Zeki Hamid. It's Wednesday, and this is Seattle Now. If you've watched TV news in Seattle over the past 3 decades, there's a good chance you've seen the work of KIRO7's Deborah Horne. Deborah retired from journalism this month, and she's here to talk about her career. But first, let's get you caught up. A new study from UW Medicine shows that telehealth abortion requests doubled 8 months after Roe v. Wade was overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. The analysis looked at 18 states, including Washington, where telemedicine abortion was legal before and after the Dobbs decision. Researchers found that distance from reproductive services still plays a major role in abortion access, even in states where abortion remains legal. The findings were published this week in JAMA Network Open. Workers who plunged into Elliott Bay when Pier 58 collapsed have settled a lawsuit against the city for $2.5 million. The accident happened in 2020 as crews were working to demolish the disintegrating pier. The plaintiffs say the city had neglected the pier for years and skimped on safety measures. The Seattle Times reports 2 workers suffered serious injuries, including a broken back. Washington's Department of Labor and Industries reviewed the incident and found no violations by the city. The new Pier 58 opened in July. And state officials are hosting a webinar tomorrow to help federal workers who have been laid off or furloughed by the government shutdown. It'll be a crash course in how to apply for unemployment benefits, what to do about health insurance, and how to access job training. As of mid-October, nearly 1,200 federal workers in Washington had applied for state unemployment benefits. Thursday's free webinar goes from 1 to 2:30 on Zoom. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now.
Next on KIRO in Color. It has been controversial so long it seemed it might never be built.
The vision is connecting Seattle and the Pacific Northwest with the world.
Now a campaign to make Seattle's African American Museum a reality.
That's the voice of legendary KIRO7 reporter Deborah Horne. For 34 years, Deborah has been telling stories in Seattle. In 2020, she reported from inside the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone.
33-year-old DeJuan Young was alert, though in excruciating pain, he said, just 2 days after he was shot outside the Capitol Hill organized protest zone.
Deborah also spent years amplifying the voices of people of color in the Pacific Northwest through KIRO7's show In Color. She even had the opportunity to interview civil rights icon Rosa Parks.
I'm a black woman, born in the 50s. I cannot say to Rosa Parks what happened that day. I mean, I'm supposed to know.
Right.
So I say, so you were tired. She said, no, I wasn't tired. I said, well, your feet hurt. No, my feet didn't hurt. Okay, I mean, you had worked all day. No. Mrs. Parks, tell me what happened that day.
But despite reporting on Seattle and Washington's biggest moments, Deborah is also known for her willingness to ask hard questions.
Do you ever think about your prostate?
No, ma'am.
Now, after countless stories, awards, and a role in Robin Williams' 2009 movie World's Greatest Dad, Deborah retired from KIRO earlier this month. Here's Deborah Horne in conversation with Patricia Murphy.
Now, I'm going to call you former KIRO7 reporter, now retired Deborah Horne.
Yes, I think that sounds quite lovely, actually.
Welcome in. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Trish. What a joy and an honor, really, to be here in the studio. I listen to KUOW and KNKX all the time. I wake up to either one of you. Depends on if I'm earlier, I wake up to you. If I'm later, I wake up to KNKX. But KUOW has factored so prominently in my life.
Oh, well.
So
we appreciate that. Go public media.
Absolutely.
We're here to talk about you, though. And Deborah Horne, you started at KIRO TV, KIRO7 in 1991, but you had worked in other markets. What kept you in this market for so long?
Every time I thought about leaving, and I really did think about leaving, I got depressed. Also, I had so many great opportunities. I started KIRO in Color, a show about people of color in 1994 because of the news director who was there, Bill Lord. And the timing, of course, was a good time to say we need to make sure that our newscast, even if it's 4 times a year, that we have a show on the air that reflects the great diversity of the Pacific Northwest. We see it every day, but we very often don't see it on television. And it's really crucial to me, and it's important to me that our news product reflect where we live, where we work. This is our home, and we are writing, as you know, the first draft, and it's a very rough draft of the history of this place. And so we need to make sure that when people look back 100 years from now, 500 years from now, that they have some inkling of who lived here and of the lives that they lived and the contributions that they made to this place that has become my just beloved home.
What a fantastic way to look at your job and the responsibility of being a reporter in this region, Deborah. You cover so many tough stories. You have covered so many tough stories. You are out there in the streets doing your thing. You know, what do you try to bring to them? Because there's a lot of humanity in your reporting, and that's not always easy, and it's not always the case. So how do you see that job?
I so appreciate that you say that. I see it as a human being having had something really awful happen to them and something they never imagined would happen to them either. People think, oh, that'll never happen to me. There isn't one person who says, yep, I'm going to be shot dead at work and then they'll have to solve the crime. I mean, I don't think that anybody feels that. My goal is to make sure that the person who watches the story has some sense of this precious life that has been taken. Because it doesn't even matter whether the person was great in life, maybe nobody liked them, maybe very few people liked them. They still matter to someone. They still mattered because they were in the world. Does anyone say of their own life, oh, this wasn't worth much? No, we're here for a very extraordinarily brief time.
So true.
But it is important to me that we shine a light on this life that meant so much to someone. And why would you care if I don't make you care? I mean, one murder after another, one fire after another. But each murder is its own special entity involving someone to whom this has never happened before, most often to a family to whom nothing like this has ever happened before. So this is not an ordinary day. I didn't ever want to go and cover a story like, oh, this one doesn't matter. They all matter. Truly, they all matter.
That's a very vulnerable place to be as a reporter. To let that in, to write that in is a big deal. How did you approach self-care? Because there had to be self-care.
Well, I run, I meditate, and I go to the symphony, the opera, and the theater.
You look to the light.
I do. I look to the light. But I will tell you this, that I'm a compartmentalizer, so I'm able to take this and put it over there and then keep going. And so that is what I've done. But I always say this, that it's like the 20th murder or death that knocks me flat. You know, I'll go fine, and then it'll be the 25th. And so we are human beings, but please know this. We are not like cops. We are not EMTs. We are not people who physically see the deceased. To me, those are the people for whom we need the greatest care. Yes, there's care. Care is needed for us as well. And both we and the people we work for do forget that. If I may, I will say this, that Oso was one of those that just laid me low.
That was a tricky one.
Well, I was working that Saturday because at the time I was working Friday through Tuesday. And I had worked the previous Tuesday when the helicopter had crashed. The KUOW helicopter had crashed.
I remember that. I was there that morning.
Within view of our building. And one of my coworkers, we were at a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning, something that rarely happens. That day was one of the hardest days of my career because there were 2 people on board, a pilot. My coworkers knew, I did not. A photographer I knew as well. I didn't know him as well as the photographers did. So it was very emotional, but I'd been off Wednesday and Thursday. And so Saturday we were covering the funeral of the pilot. And I was with my photographer, Bill Skoke. So when we were there, they said, oh, there's been a little mudslide in Arlington.
Wow.
That is what they said.
And for listeners who may not remember, this is 2014. This is a landslide that took out Steelhead Drive, Washington, between Darrington and Oso.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at first, we don't know that it is catastrophic, of course, because slowly dawning reality. And I remember interviewing this woman who her husband was a plumber, and he had gone with his plumber friend to help him install a water heater for a woman who had just bought her house. And so also at her house was a dish employee. And I was saying to the woman whose husband was the plumber, I said, well, you live here? She said, yes. He was working. He was helping his friend install something. It wasn't even his day on.
Wow.
He was helping his friend. And that's when the magnitude of it began to really hit me. And so in the end, we kept hearing numbers. The numbers were inflated. Maybe 80 people were dead. That is an extraordinary number of people to die suddenly in a major event. And it turned out to be just under 50, as I recall. But it was just so capricious, this dreadful thing that had happened. And I have to say, we had covered it. It was horrifying. We have all these people who are dead. We talked to the survivors who have survivor guilt. But after we had been covering this, I was covering a fire in Bellevue. And the PIO, Public Information Officer from the fire department, was one who had been in Oso. And I said, so how many people died? He said, a baby died. And my first thought was, one baby? Gosh, that isn't that much. And that's when I said, oh my goodness, you need a break.
Yeah.
I needed a break. And what did I do in 2014? About a month later, I broke my elbow. Now, let me say this. I don't recommend breaking your elbow to get a break. And let me say this further. I did not break my elbow on purpose. I like to say it was the mean streets of Philadelphia. But let me tell you, I needed desperately not to work for a little while because it's too mean. People hadn't done anything to die. This baby had done nothing to die except that they lived. And I had to take time off.
Sure. You needed that to recharge.
I needed it.
I think that is a casualty of the job often, that you will go to a point compartmentalizing, and then at some point something just cuts you the wrong way and you realize what you've been doing and how the magnitude of the things that you filter through your psyche every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But it did save me, and I came back. So there you are.
Yeah. The news business has changed a lot since the 90s. You and I have both been around a little while.
We
Deborah
have.
Horne, what do you notice?
The news business is a reflection of the society we live in. What has been the change in the way that we cover the news? Absolutely everything. And certainly in television news, absolutely everything. I started in March of 1991. I did my first live shot in September of 1991. If anybody who starts in television doesn't do a live shot within a week of starting, where they can't even pronounce the names, particularly here, Snoqualmie, Issaquah, blah, blah, my goodness, they lose their minds. And so what has happened, the immediacy with which we can get information out, we didn't have the ability to tell you stories from around the world. Around the neighborhood, practically. That's as far as we could go. And we couldn't be live. And so the enormity of the change has been, I don't even think you can really quantify it because it has been a sea change. And what is the difference in the reporters? These are reporters who have not come of age during Watergate. And so they aren't going to be as aggressive as I was, which for better or for worse. Of course, I've had photographers both at my station and others criticize me. Oh, she's so mean. Well,
you gotta get the job done.
Hey, gotta get the job done, and it's a mean situation, all right? I'm not trying to be nasty, though you could say I am. I'm just trying to get the work done in time so that we get it on, so that people care about these people they will never meet, will never see. I want to make sure that when they leave my story, they feel like, wow, I know something about that person. Maybe I don't know it all. You can't know it all. But I know something. And so this will be a different way of covering the news, but not necessarily a bad way. Every generation brings something fresh and new. And so what are people bringing now? The ability to be on social media, to know so much so quickly, to be so adept at questioning, and also to be so accustomed to being recorded. Yeah. Imagine that. When we would give people
so much different.
When we would give people the golden opportunity to be on TV in 1991, that was something. Okay, in 2025. Oh, well, I know how I look. Oh, I do interviews. I have my own podcast. I'm an influencer, whatever I am.
Oh, you're going to put me on video.
Oh,
wow.
I've had people put me on video, something that I never would have happened before, So I am excited about what is to come because they're going to bring things. We brought things. They'll build on those things. They won't get rid of everything. You never can. You do absolutely build, but every generation believes it has the answer. We all thought that, and sometimes you do have some answers. You don't have them all, and you will need some old person like myself, like I, to help you to get the work done.
Why are you deciding to retire after all these years? You're still so in this.
I am so in this. And let me tell you, I've been retiring for 3 years. Listen, I am still deeply in the game in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm retiring because it's time to try something else.
All right.
It's time to use my talents to do more. There are many more things I want to do. I'm president of SAG-AFTRA, our local here. That means the world to me. I started as a very reluctant shop steward, like, possibly I could. And then, boom. You have the job. What? Then we went into contract negotiations. What? And so I have grown to love this union of which you are members.
Yes.
We inform and entertain the world. That is our motto, and we're sticking to it. And also, I'm on the board at Seattle Opera, and so I could do to those things. I could just give over my life. I don't plan to do that. But there's really something that I'm dying to do, and I'm going to talk about
Break
it here.
it here.
I will break it here. I think I was at NAM, at Northwest African American Museum, and I saw the one picture of the march that was held when Martin Luther came here the one time. And I said, a news photographer shot that picture. And that's nothing that you're thinking of. And so what I would like is the various museums here, beginning with Mohi, to figure out a way to do an exhibit of some kind about the contributions that journalists have made to this community. Ooh. We have historical figures here. Jean Anderson, whether you know this or not, was the very first female named co-anchor for any major broadcast in the country. And she's our neighbor.
Yep.
And there are so many people who don't know that. And it's important to know those things. My coworker, Mickey Flowers, one of the first African Americans on TV. And so there is so much to this story of making sure that our work and the impact that we have had on this community. Hence, you're doing an interview with me. You've done an interview with my wonderful, magnificent former colleague, Jesse Jones.
We don't let the OGs go easily,
well,
Deborah Horne.
Listen, I appreciate that. But so that means that we have made a difference, and it's important that the society here know that. And I think the best way to do it is with an exhibit. I have to tell you, Trish, I did not come here to say this. I
got you to break a little news.
Well, it's very little news, but it's really important news to me.
Yeah.
I really want to make sure that the people here recognize, just as you're talking to me about, the difficulty of going on a news story and all of that. I mean, listen, I'm not seeking any sympathy. I'm well regarded. I was, never paid what one is worth. And yet I was paid to do this thing that I dreamed of as a little girl, this job that I felt was a calling. I was called to be a reporter. People are called to the ministry. I was called to the streets to go out and cover the news. I've met people I would never meet had I not been a reporter. I've been given the great privilege of telling the stories of people I will never meet because they are no longer with us. I mean, I feel like I have been a very privileged person. So I'm leaving because time to do something else. The job is harder. It's getting harder.
The job is harder.
And so why do it when you don't have to? I can afford to go. I have other things to do. I'm very excited about that.
Deborah Horne, what a pleasure it was talking to you today.
Oh, what a pleasure to talk to you.
Really?
I feel honored that you wanted to hear about my last 34 years. Gosh darn it, that's a big number, isn't it?
Yeah.
I looked at
honorable number, though, really.
Thank you. I looked at my coworkers in one meeting and I said, my career is older than everybody in this room.
Best of luck in your retirement. You're a legend.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you listening to Seattle Now. Today's episode was produced by Vaughn Jones. It was edited by Caroline Chamberlain Gomez. Our production team also includes Andy Hurst, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Zeki Hamid. Please be kind to each other and see you soon.